thought I'd do a YouTube show on the production facilities and how we grow plants at Northwind. And I'd start with the seeding. I think our seeding is very simple. We have a hoop hut with 30% shade cloth. Right now it's covered still with white poly because of the cold and chance of snow actually too. So we have it covered with white poly, and we've been seeding now for about 10 days. You can see all the seed flats. We do quite a bit from seed, and I'll go over the process with you. We can look at it. We have Carex albicans, Carex blanda, Rebecca fulgida. We have Echinacea pallida, Lobelia syphilitica, Monarda bradburyiana. I have a penstemon with very dark foliage that I found at a garden I put in Wisconsin, central Wisconsin. Carex gracillima. Then all this is Sporobolus heterolepis from 2 different suppliers, and I found that the genetics change. The seed I get from southern Missouri actually is much more upright, so we're using that in different projects with the more upright flowers and more arching flowers from the Wisconsin genetics in northern Illinois. And here are the seed flats from last November. You can see we're getting good germination. This is Sanguisorba coming up. You can see in the seed flats. There's little small seedlings of Astrantia. This is Echinacea hula dancer. Look at that. Oh, that's coming up. Aster divaricatus. Ligusticum scoticum. That's germinating right now. Take a look at that. So these are actually seedlings that need a long, moist, cold treatment. And we'll get into that, what I mean by long, moist, cold treatment. They need 12 to 16 weeks of cold to break the dormancy in the seed. So I sow these flats in November. So a friend of mine is coming up from Chicago. He wants to learn how to sow seed. He wants to learn our process. And again, it's very simple. We have no heated structures. In fact, the seeds germinate better without being in a greenhouse because they're germinating in fluctuating temperatures. Like this morning, it's 40. And it's going to get up inside this house. It'll get up to about 65, 70. We have both doors open. And I've been doing this process for 41 years. So I haven't changed anything in 41 years. And we've been very successful. And at the height of my production, I've grown over 450,000 plants a year with no heat. Just 30% shade cloth. And you can see in this house, and when we get the white plastic off, I'll show you how that looks. So let's go over and meet Chris. He's come up from Chicago, and let's look at how we produce plants from seed. Okay, we'll go meet Chris now. Hi everyone, we're going into our little seeding hut. If you look around, people go, oh my gosh, Roy, this isn't contemporary. I said, well no, we built this hut 22 years ago, but it's functional. And everything you would do in a contemporary hut with aluminum and all kinds of expensive material, we would be doing the same things here. So we're looking at, this is my seeding bench in here where I sow with Gabina. We sow about 250 flats of seed. And this is my good friend Chris, who came from Chicago today because he's just really interested to learn our process of seeding. So we'll walk through the process of seeding. We'll let Chris take you through it. He's already sown a few flats. So Chris, what are we doing here? What do we?
So we have our soil basin here, and this is a late blooming salvia azurea. So we're just kind of softly spreading the seeds on here. We'll tamp those down. This is enough for about one
Salvia
flat.
azurea. It's a native salvia from the central states. I think it's native to Missouri.
Yeah. So
and I think
kinda
farther west.
Softly tamp that down.
Okay.
Get that set in the soil here.
I made that tamping block in 1982, which is pretty cool for me.
It still works.
It still works. It's nothing, and it's never broken down.
Yeah.
I've never had an incident where I had to call the tamping block guy.
And then we see here, it's a little bit to cover it up with.
What are we using? Coarse vermiculite. So we cover the seeds lightly with coarse vermiculite. That actually keeps the seeds from wetting and drying, so it holds moisture on the surface. And it allows sunlight through because it's a much coarser material, so light will come through and penetrate to the seeds. The seeds need a certain amount of sunlight to germinate, and then it helps retain moisture around the seeds in a more continuous way. So you see him lightly scattering it on the seed flat. And these are called 1020 open flats. They're basically a horticultural trade flat with drainage holes. Make sure you get drainage holes. And this is the material we use. It's called Proline, and it's, let me get the right number, G25 growing mix. And I use this growing mix because it drains well. And as you saw earlier, my seed flats are all outside under 30% shade cloth, and I can't control rainfall. So I have to make sure the seed flats drain well so I can avoid problems with Pythium and Rhizoctonia in the seed flats. Okay, so Chris has that one done. Let me back up a little bit.
So this is kind of just add a little cheese and we're done. Top it with cheese.
Bring it on the cart.
Now we can start to get this.
So we do a light watering now to hold the vermiculite in place because it's breezy outside. So we get the watering started, and then when we move the flats into the house under the shade cloth, we'll soak them thoroughly with a misting nozzle.
You want to bring this one this way?
So let's take a trip. We'll take it into the seed house. We'll walk over there. Again, I showed you the seed house this morning. We use 30% shade cloth over you can see the hoop pots. We'll take the white plastic off next week. Usually it's around April 20th we take the white plastic off because we have less a chance of snow. And if we got a wet snow, it would cave in the shade cloth, it would rip it apart. So let's open the door for the house. You can see, oh, the next one. And let's go to the next one. That's our seed house. So we bring it over to the seed house, and you can see as Chris brings it in, we have the whole house filled with seedlings. And I showed you that this morning. You can see the new flats where Chris is. The other side of the flats we sowed last November. And then all the flats get marked, labeled, and then as they germinate, we start transplanting, and we'll have germination here in about 10 days. And we'll start transplanting in about 3 weeks into 2.5-inch containers. So that's how Chris is soaking the flats down now. And we just, what you saw Chris do, we just do that repetitively for maybe an hour or 2 hours a day. We'll sow maybe 20 to 25 flats a day. And then we'll be done sowing seeds around May 10th. And what we try to do is sow the seeds based on their germination temperature. So I found a lot of the, especially native plants, germinate better with cooler temperatures in the evening. Greenhouses that grow a lot of native plants, some plants don't come up as well because their temperatures are too high in the evening. So I've seen to have much better success growing with naturally occurring temperatures. And here it gets a little warmer right now because of the white plastic. It's an easy way to produce plants. And if you're small and don't have room for a hoop pot, I started doing all this in 1978 under window screens I got from a church. I put the window screens on cinder blocks, and I slid the seed flats underneath the window screens. They let the light through, and the key of the 30% fabric is it breaks up heavy rains, and it turns rains to a beautiful mist that comes through the shade cloth, and it mists all the seed flats without destroying them with a heavy rainfall. So it's a system that works well. And so far, with the number of flats we've produced, we get about 150 to 200 transplants per flat. So we've got about 45,000 transplants we'll be doing here from mid-June to mid-July. So that's our seeding process. And thanks, Chris.
Yeah, back soon.
We're helping out, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.